Anna Seawold, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about personal development in the context of parenting, where I explore how you can find more calm, connection, and joy in parenting through the process of self-discovery and inner growth with a trauma-informed lens. I'm a parent educator, and my mission is to help children by helping parents. The motto of this podcast is raising our children, growing ourselves. Today, how to build closeness with your kids. I am joined by a mother-daughter duo. They're here to talk about how they transformed their relationship. They went from fighting daily into a more peaceful, positive, and connected place. You've probably met Julie before, the mom. She is an active member of the Authentic Parenting community. She is in our Facebook group. She came to the Authentic Parenting Conference in 2019, attended many support calls during the pandemic, and has been on the podcast a couple of times before. The last time she co-hosted the show with me was the last episode of 2020. It's episode 258, the year in review, confessions, top 10 episode, and what's coming. And she co-hosted episode 257 as well, top lessons learned from 2020. I think we have to do a recap on those two episodes, as Julie and I have both shared our list of ideas and goals and intentions for 2021. Before this year ends, we have to get together and record another episode. But I digress. I know many people from our community, some of them pretty well, but Julie has made some big strides and major shifts in her parenting. She's been learning and growing consistently. It's pretty amazing how far she's come, even though she's still doubtful and not 100% confident about this gentle parenting gig. And she can be hard on herself, but it's pretty incredible how much shift she has made in her parenting. It turns out her daughter, who is 13, wanted to come to the podcast and talk about their relationship, their struggles, their challenges, and of course, the transformation. I mean, how can I say no to that, right? I hope you'll be inspired by this remarkable young girl, whether you are a parent of a teen or a younger child. I think her message is powerful. In this episode, we talked about how she navigates puberty, middle school, and social media, what it's like to be diagnosed with ADHD in the pandemic, how she monitors her own screen time after having had a dependent relationship with it, the tools she discovered that help her with her anxiety and emotion regulation, and finally, her sound, down-to-earth advice to parents everywhere. I'm telling you that I fell in love with this young girl, and this conversation reminded me of the time when I used to work with teens and how awesome they are. Before we get to today's show, a quick shout out to our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens, the most nutrient-dense whole foods daily supplement that I've ever tried. As you know, I'm a huge advocate for cultivating and practicing what I call radical self-care. If you want to show up greatly in your parenting, you need to take care of yourself. And part of radical self-care is eating right. But with so many stressors in our lives, in our go, do culture, juggling busy schedules and multitude of responsibilities, maintaining a healthy, well-balanced diet can be difficult, especially for parents. And that can leave us deficient in key nutrients that our bodies need to thrive. This is where Athletic Greens can help. It's a life-changing nutritional habit. Their daily all-in-one superfood powder is your nutritional essential. They simplify the logistics of getting optimal nutrition on a daily basis by giving you one thing with all the best things. I've been using it for the past 2 years as part of my morning routine, and I love the simplicity, the ease of it, and it's delicious too. One tasty scoop of AG1 Athletic Greens contains 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotic, and more that all work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet, increase energy and focus, aid with digestion, and support a healthy immune system, all without the need to take multiple products or pills. I take it in the morning and I'm ready to face the day. And right now, for the listeners of my podcast, Athletic Greens has a special offer. A free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/authentic parenting and you'll be able to access this offer. Again, simply visit athleticgreens.com/authentic parenting and get your free supply of vitamin D for a year and 5 free travel packs. Please enjoy my conversation with 13-year-old Lainey and her mama, Julie. So, here we are.
Yay!
Yay. How are you, Julie?
I'm doing good. Good. Today's been a good day. There's been some apologies to each other and we're just being kinder. So when people are being kind, I am in a better mood.
Oh, that's lovely. How about Lainey? How about you, Lainey? When do you feel great?
I'm not sure. I gotta still figure that out. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You're at camp?
When I'm at camp, yeah, but I haven't been at camp in a while, so.
Okay, so how about at home? How can you make yourself feel well at home?
Oh, you're just going right to it.
Well, when I'm in a bad mood, I normally like to, well, it's different, honestly, for each time. Sometimes I'll go in my room, I'll listen to music, or I'll journal and just be by myself and have some alone time. Or other times I'll go to my mom's room and we'll just cuddle, or she'll just, help me out. But it really just depends on the situation or how I'm feeling. But eventually I go to my mom's room and we just cuddle.
That's always nice, right? Have you noticed that since you become a teenager, your mood changes? Have you noticed, like, personally, how you feel as opposed to when you were like a kid?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've always been sassy. I've always known what I wanted. But when I became older, I'm actually technically not even a teenager yet. I'll be a teenager tomorrow. But I don't know. I feel like just hormones and being in middle school is really tough. And I was not expected at all. I did not think that this is how middle school would be. It's a lot to handle. On top of that, it's like puberty and stuff. We're going through some changes and it's just all new, and some of it is exciting. Some of it isn't very exciting, but I will get through it.
What do you think you had expectations going into middle school? And if you had, what were those expectations?
Yeah, I definitely had expectations. I would be in my bed, just thinking about, oh, I can't wait to be older. But now that I'm getting older, it's harder, and I wasn't expecting this. So I was expecting to have this perfect life because I would always watch YouTube videos where they only show the clips where they're having a great time. But middle school, people can be mean, and there's stuff that YouTube doesn't prepare you for. Like, nobody really talks about this stuff. And also, I feel like my parents helped me a lot, but there's also some stuff that they never grew up knowing about because they're a totally different generation, you know? And as mean as that sounds, they're older, right? But
okay, boomer, right? We're boomers. According to you, we're the boomers, but not technically.
But there's social media now. There's like a lot more influences. And also we were in a pandemic for a year and a half, and we were going through that while we were going through puberty, while we were having all these changes with our body, with how we feel about ourselves. And we didn't get to experience that at school while socializing with our friends. We had to be quarantining, at least our family did. But, it was just like, I just had all these expectations that I would have like a perfect boyfriend. And like, I don't know, I've always been like dreaming about being older, I guess, because I wanted to be more like my mom.
Oh, and you watch movies that are super fun movies about high schoolers and junior hires. And I think she has these expectations
exactly
that are not realistic.
Mm-hmm. It's Hollywood, honey. Hollywood always portrays things differently, and social media for sure. Nobody posts dirty pictures of their kitchen, right? It's not inspiring. We all post beautiful pictures because we're all yearning for that beautiful, quote unquote, perfect life. But I think, you're right. Middle school is hard. And for your generation, it's been even harder. My daughter is in middle school too, in this pandemic. Like you said, you summarized it very well. The difficulties, the hardship, the challenges of this time for middle schoolers. But do you think you are handling it well? Do you feel resilient? Do you feel crushed by it all? Or not completely? Like, what's your spirit? What's your mood? What's your outlook?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying my best. And sometimes it can be really, really overwhelming. And I have like a lot on my plate sometimes. But at the end of the day, I think to myself and I'm like, I just did it. I got through the day and I survived. I did amazing and it was fun. And tomorrow's a new day. And if it's like, I can't compare myself to anybody, but what was that?
About not comparing yourself to anybody but the person you were yesterday.
Exactly. So I can't compare myself to anybody except for myself, how I was yesterday. Kind of attitude,
Yeah, but like you said, there are mean girls, cyberbullying, there is all of that. How do you navigate that? Do you think you have tools? Do you think you need tools? Where do you look for tools to navigate all of the waters of the middle school?
So there are a lot of people in this world and they're all just trying to live their life, right? And maybe sometimes girls can be mean, boys can be mean, people who are non-binary can be mean, anybody can be mean, And so it's just like, it's kind of hard, I guess, especially because they don't put this in movies, as we were talking about. Like, I would watch Mean Girls and be like, oh, they're so mean. That's as bad as it's going to get. And yeah, they were pretty mean, but there are some other mean people. And my parents have, like I said, they've been like really supportive. They help me. They're like kind of navigating me into the direction. And they're telling me all this great advice, and feel like I never would have like been this mature, I guess, without them. But also I feel like some other people, they just don't realize that what they say and what they do can affect other people.
Yeah, especially middle schoolers, like you said, deal with a lot of body image issues, They have lots of insecurities. They don't have maybe a parent who they can trust or talk to. Friends could be mean and they can feel isolated. So it's especially important. I talk about this to my daughter a lot, because if somebody is a quote unquote a popular kid and they have somewhat of a privilege, right, in the social hierarchy in school, how about the other kid who doesn't feel as included, as attractive, as popular, right? And I know they have feelings, right? Their feelings get hurt. I talk about this all the time with my daughter and bring her attention to the kids that are there vulnerable. All middle schoolers are vulnerable, even the ones who look very confident that they got it all, they're popular. Inside, they all feel insecure, anxious, vulnerable. So you have to be responsible for how you talk to them, how you treat them in real life and in social media or right online. It could be very detrimental. It can end up tragically, unfortunately. So how have your parents been helpful, particularly your mom, Julie, right? I know Julie. Julie has been on the podcast before. She's been a big part of our community. People love her and know her, and she is very supportive for other parents in our group. She's been actually an anchor for a lot of the members in the pandemic, even though she was also going through difficulties. But she was also helping others. And me and Julie have spoken countless times in the pandemic and shared stories, compared notes, and often found that, we had similar days and similar problems. And so how is your relationship with your mom? How has it changed? I know it's a big question, but you said she's very supportive. Do you know that your mom doesn't feel as confident sometimes as a parent?
Yeah, I do know that. I think we both can be very vulnerable with each other, and we will talk about stuff that I feel like some parents and kids won't really necessarily talk about because we're just very close. But the stuff that you were saying earlier about how people can be the prettiest people in the world, but they can still have insecurities, I think that you worded that perfectly. And I used to be in 5th, 6th grade, I was so insecure about myself. And I would just compare myself to literally everybody I saw. And I would think that they're just the perfect people in the world. And I could never be as pretty as them or as popular as them or as nice as them. And now I've realized that it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel. And now I feel confident. I don't know I don't really know how I got that change to happen. I mean, I do have a little story about that, but we can talk about that later. But I just feel like it's also the fact that people can judge you. And I was so scared that people would judge me if I put myself out there. And I ended up thinking to myself, and I talked about this with my mom, that if people judge me, it's ultimately their problem because I don't care. If they want to talk badly about me, that just shows on their side what kind of person they are. And I don't want to be friends with somebody who's rude and who would talk bad about me, because that just shows that they're not a great person, but they need to work on themselves to better themselves. And I do believe that everybody is capable of change. Everybody can better themselves, right? And so I believe in second chances, and I give people second chances. So I think that that's really what I stand by. And this one time, there was this girl who, she wasn't the nicest to me. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, I know that we have our differences and that you don't really like me, but I was wondering if we could hang out one time. And if you don't want to, I completely understand. But if you're going through anything, I'm really sorry and we can talk. And she ended up responding and saying, I'm going through a lot right now and I need some time to just work on myself. And I told my mom that, and I'm just like, wow, I knew it. Like, everybody is going through something, and it's whether they show it or not, everybody is going through something. Yeah. But my mom has helped me so much. And I know she's always talking about how she's calling you. She's like, I'm going to go call my friend. I'm like, okay. And she's always like, I'm going to go on a podcast now and like have fun. But I've always talked to her about it. I'm like, I want to be on a podcast. It sounds like so much fun. And I'm so proud. Even though I'm like younger than you, you're supposed to be proud of me. I'm proud of you though, Aww. Because you're helping other people, and that's what I've always wanted to do, and you're my inspiration. It sounds so cheesy, though.
I don't even know what to say. This is not what I was expecting to come out on this call. Wow.
Well, thank you. You take it all in, Julie. I am very impressed by you, Lainey. You know, you're very well-spoken. You're very mature. You use that word too. You're very courageous, even the fact that you came to the podcast. But apart from that, reaching out to that friend and speaking like that, writing that message, I think it shows a lot of courage, being vulnerable and reaching out like that, and not hiding behind text messages or meanness or creating a distance, but reaching out to someone like that. I'm very impressed, and I'm very moved by how you're navigating your life as a young teen, and you're very bright.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. And you're very pretty. People cannot see it, but I see you have your nails done, your hair, and it's very pretty. I like that you're taking care of yourself and your body. You know, it's part of self-care, right?
Yeah. Yesterday I did a face mask. I did my hair. It was really fun.
Well, we came up with a list of things to do when we are upset or when we are triggered, and self-care, like face mask and taking care of herself. That's something that you had come up with. And so we've been buying more face masks, and now she's doing it more regularly on her own.
So in terms of regulating yourself, regulating big feelings and dealing with anxiety, what have you find that works, that's helpful for yourself?
Yeah, this is a really, really hard question.
The $1 million question.
Yeah, I did come up with so many responses to this. So I love to journal. I like listening to music or just having a spa day. But this all started, like, I wanted to make a change with myself because I wasn't happy with myself. And so this all started. I went to my mom's room and I was crying. And I'm like, Mom, give me your books. And she's like, what books? And I said,
Did she give you the anger book?
Yeah. She gave me a bunch of books, and I sat in my bed and I'm crying and I'm reading them. And I'm like, whoa, these are good. And they're talking about all these ways that I can help my anxiety and help my self-esteem. And I'm like, I'm going to make a change. This is going to be fun. And I wrote a list of everything that helped me get through everything, I guess, get through my anxiety, which anxiety never stops. It's a cycle that never ends. It just keeps going. But I found ways to cope with it. Like, I feel like the biggest thing is journaling. Like, just either if it's just writing down random thoughts, if it's writing lists, or if it's writing why I'm upset. I've always just loved writing, and I just love writing down my thoughts and stuff. And it actually really helped me. And then when I listen to music too, that also really helps because I like listening to like women empowerment music. Yeah, that kind of music. And my mom made a playlist for women empowering music. And so I've been listening to it when I've been stressed out while I'm like doing my homework or something. And it's just like getting me in a fun mood, like listening to Taylor Swift.
Megan Trainor, I Love Me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to ask you to share that playlist with me, and I will put it in the show notes. So
definitely, it puts me in a good mood too. I mean, some of the songs are cheesy, but I'm like,
the lyrics are so good. Like,
yeah, it helps us to get our mind off of our worries and get into the music. So
yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Another thing that I like to do. My mom has this gratitude journal that I took from her, but I at least try to write it every day. Sometimes I forget, but it has me write something that I'm grateful for, something that happened that was amazing, and a goal for the next day. And so every day I try to write all those things down in the journal, and writing down what I'm grateful for actually really, really helps, because instead of looking at the negatives and saying, oh man, today I did this and I really wish I didn't, and these people were mean and everyone's talking about me. Yeah, those things might have happened, but at the end of the day, if you're saying at least one thing good that happened, then it just makes my mindset like shift, and I'm in a better mood and I'm ready for the next day. And yeah.
Are you sure you're 13?
Oh my gosh.
I used to work with teenagers. It was a long time ago, but I think today's kids are a lot brighter, a lot smarter, a lot more developed than when we were. That's my sense. I could be wrong. But do you think your friends also have such tools?
Honestly, I don't, but I really love to help them. Me and my mom have this kind of support group where every Sunday we'll meet up in my garage and we just kind of talk about everything going on. And my mom has this course for us to do, and it's so much fun, and it gets everybody to come out of their bubbles, and we just all kind of talk. It's like a huge therapy lesson or group kind of thing. And it's honestly like the highlight of my week. We haven't been able to do it in a while, but it's really, really fun. And we've given my friends journals, and my friend actually came to me the other day. She's like, I really want one of your self-help books. And I'm like, okay, you can have as many as you want. And it's just really nice to see them like coming out of their bubble and asking for help, because a lot of them are really, really shy. And when I see them like branching out, I'm like, hey.
Have you found any books in the market that are for teenagers, or are you reading the books that are just written for, I guess, adults?
Well, I'm reading there's a variety of books. I mean, my mom got me this teenager book where it's like talking about body image, how I think of myself, self-confidence, that kind of thing. And then there's another book where it's just has you like write down stuff. It's called Do It For Yourself. And it has like all these pages full with like a bunch of different quotes and some things that you can write down. Then there's also some books that are like a little older, talking about like some stories, I guess.
The 4 Agreements.
Yeah, the 4 Agreements. I just started reading that one. And they're kind of all very different from each other, but I love them all, and they have helped me so much.
Fantastic. Julie, did you know that you have a daughter like this at home?
Yes, I did. She's pretty phenomenal. She's learned a lot in the last year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
I think as with me, for Lainey too, though, it's so much fun for me to read and learn. But for me, out of sight, out of mind, if I don't start applying it and put it on the calendar and setting small, actionable goals, I forget about it. So we have actually been, by doing the weekly group with her friends, we are following through, and we are doing things, and we are making things happen. So I think that's one of the biggest things that has happened in the last year, is that we are finally pushing past our fears, and we're not as scared anymore of being vulnerable with each other, and we're making changes. So I don't know where I was going with that.
How about the challenges when they occur during the day? how do you handle those moments now?
It really depends. I mean, sometimes it happens at school. Other times it happens when I'm like at my house, and it just depends who I'm with and who I feel comfortable talking about it with. And for me, I really like just talking about it with people, just like getting out my feelings. But when I'm at school, it's kind of hard because we're learning and we can't really do anything. So what I find helpful is instead of talking to someone, I just write it down. I just journal at school, and I don't need anybody to see it, because as long as I'm getting it out, then it just makes me feel so much better. And I could rip it up and throw it away, and it doesn't matter because I just got it out and I felt so much better. But then when I'm at home, I'll talk to my parents, sometimes my sister, whether she's in a good mood or not. But, they help me, as I was saying, and they'll just like comfort with me, cuddle with me, whatever I want. Sometimes get me chocolate. Yeah. I feel like you just need a good support system that you feel that you can really talk to. And for me, that's my parents and my friends.
But it wasn't always like this.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No, but what was the catalyst for change to happen? Was there like a big moment, a story, a big fight, or something that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So me and my mom, well, my whole family, we would always like butt heads. That's how families are mostly. And me and my mom, we have it, I guess, like we fight more. But I feel like it's just because I feel more comfortable with her, like that I can talk back to her. And sometimes it's not nice, but she understands and she'll help me. But this one time.
Do you use curse words in front of your parents?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not judging you. My daughter uses too. That's okay.
Yeah.
We told her in the house and not calling people names. Out of the house.
I don't even remember what the question was.
What caused the change? Was there a big fight? Was there?
Oh, yeah. So we would fight all the time. And I feel like we were both sick of it. It would happen like on a daily basis.
But we would fight over things like simple things like about clearing your plate or taking a shower or doing like the things that are supposed to be done that a kid doesn't want to do. So anything and everything we would ask, it'd be a no or a fight. So we would go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way that you asked me. I would be like, no, I can do it by myself. Like I would always talk back.
So you didn't like the tone she was using or the language she was using?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely the tone. That really sets.
What was the tone? Give an example. We know Julie's different side. So let's hear.
This was like a year ago. She's changed so much for the better, but she would be like, go clear your place. now I just do it because it's like that's something that I have to do.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Your breakfast plate has been on the table all day today. Number one. Number two, if I spoke to you like that was like the 18th time that I asked you. However, we don't get to 18 times anymore because I
just don't like being told what to do. That's
or asked.
Yeah. But we had like this big fight and she left the house with her car, even though she was just sitting on the porch. But I thought that she like left us and I was so upset. And I'm like, no, when will she come back? I'm sorry. And
that's a good technique, I think.
I wasn't trying to scare her. I just wanted to go get some fresh air.
Yeah. And so she came back and I hugged her and I was crying. And I'm like, I missed you. And so then I'm just like, it's like the kind of attitude where I'm like, we only live once and I don't want to spend every day fighting with my mom. And I wish I learned it earlier because then we could have been like this longer and we could have had this kind of relationship for a long time, which I feel like we've always had a good relationship, but it could have been better,
It could have been better. And I attribute some of this to the wanting to be in control, both of us, but me not realizing it. Like, Anna, we've talked about things like cleaning of the room, like is it my problem if her room is clean? So I've learned to let some things go, where before it was the authoritarian type, where if you agree, she would agree to cleaning her room, then wouldn't clean her room and, still wouldn't clean her room. And it would just, anyway, I learned to start letting it go, or giving her smaller steps, or working with her, helping her, doing it while we listen to music and try and have fun while doing it. So I know, and this is a little pat on my back, but I know that I have done some changing first and she is following.
I feel like if she didn't start reading those self-help books, then we would not be in this place, because she was the one who motivated me to read them. So if she didn't buy the first book and she didn't read it, she didn't join all these parenting groups, then I feel like we would still be in that place where we would fight every day and just yell at each other.
Do you know kids in school who are in that place? Do they talk about it? Do they share?
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of my friends, their parents are divorced, which that's pretty hard on them, because they can't have that like mother and father relationship where they like all go out. But it's still hard for them because they feel that they can't even talk to their parents about that kind of stuff. And like, if they're upset, they're like scared to talk back because their parents would be mad at them, or they'll ground them or something, which my parents don't do. They don't ground us or take away anything really.
They don't take away your phone?
Well, my dad does, but my mom, she kind of laughs when he does it. She's like, come on.
Well, that's one of those things where before I would threaten to take it away or to turn it off, or I would take it away. And I'm like, wait, no, that's punishment. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's
here.
not really effective when they take away my phone because it doesn't teach me anything. I feel like if they actually had a conversation with me about it, about like the things that I was doing that they didn't like, that would have been so much more effective than just taking away my phone. And my dad's still learning. I feel like he's really stubborn, so he doesn't like to be told that that's not okay.
That most dads are, I think, like that. Well, some dads, not most. Let's not generalize, but yes.
To his defense, though, when he did take her phone away the last time, it's because she changed the passcode on his phone so he couldn't change the parental controls, and she forgot the new passcode she put on his phone and claimed she forgot that she did it. So I can understand why he would want to take it away, but we had talked about not taking the phone away as a punishment. So we're working on it.
It was funny though.
But are you abusing your phone? How are you managing your own screen time, and how do you engage with your phone?
That's a great question.
Yeah, having a phone is so difficult sometimes because I used to be on it. I mean, sometimes I have those days where I'm on it a lot, but I used to be on it like 24/7. Just watching TikTok or like looking at Instagram or Snapchat or something. That put me in a really bad mental place. And I thought I was really, really insecure then because I would look at all these people all day on social media making these like 5-second videos or taking these pictures to post when that's not their actual life. That's only one portion of their entire life. And after that, you never know. Maybe they could be like really upset, having a really bad day. And some influencers open up about their mental health, but others just post that they're like so happy, they're going to the beach kind of attitude. And I unfollowed all of the influencers who posted about that. I'm like, I'm done with that. And you know what? They can do that. They could post. I'm not going to judge them, but it's not making me happy. And it's making me want to compare myself to people I don't even know. But I feel like once I unfollowed those kinds of people, then my screen time went down a lot more. And I only use my phone to FaceTime people and occasionally like take photos of my friends or something, or post on TikTok, that kind of thing that a lot of teenagers do for fun. But my screen time has definitely gotten better. as I've got it.
Do you keep track of your screen time? Do you look how many hours do you spend daily, or you don't look at the analytics?
I mean, sometimes I do. I don't really know why. I just like click on it randomly. But I mean, it's only like 2-ish hours a day when it used to be like, I feel like 2 years ago, it was like 9 hours during the summer because of COVID. We had nothing to do. And I was just staring at my phone and my brain was like fried.
Fried.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How about cleaning your room, picking up after yourself, all of those things that now your mom is not controlling and she has let that go? Do those things get done? I want to know.
I do clean my room, but then after like a week, it gets so messy and I cannot keep my room clean. I don't know what it is, but I just cannot keep my room clean. And every week I try to like do laundry or put away some clothes, make my bed, but I just end up forgetting.
Maybe you have a lot of things. It's hard to keep organized. Maybe you need to simplify before you get organized and clean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that. No, it sounds like you are doing it. You're doing your laundry. Bravo. My daughter is doing her own laundry too. That's great. How about you, Julie? How do you feel about all of this?
Yes, I'm just laughing silently here because she said her room gets messy in like a week, but I'm laughing because it gets messy in like less than an hour after it's clean. But she learned that from me. I think it's a trait that I passed down. I was in the kitchen earlier today and I looked up and I started laughing because I've noticed I leave cabinet doors open. I leave them
that's my pet peeve.
I leave them where I go as well. But I'm so much more, as I've gotten older, I'm more aware. And even though I can make a mess, I can also clean it up quickly, where the cleaning up part hasn't really kicked in yet for Lainey. It doesn't really bother her or seem to affect her, except for when she can't find something.
Oh, yeah.
But there are no more fights about cleaning, picking up after yourself?
Not necessarily with me, but with her and Dad, yes.
Mm-hmm. So what are the fights about these days then?
Him just like telling me what to do, and I don't really like being told what to do. And I feel like a lot of go through that with it, where their parents just always either say no or they're like, go do this, go do that. And I don't know. I feel like it's mostly just stuff that I know I need to do. I just don't like being told that I need to do it because I want to hang out with my friends or go up to my room and just be alone or something. I don't know. There's always something.
You just want to do your own thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is absolutely normal,
What advice do you have for parents? What do you rather parents use with their kids instead of demanding, commanding? They still want to communicate, right? Things have to be done. I mean, they can't just let the kids be on their own completely, right?
Yeah.
We still live together. How do you think parents should improve their communication so that things will get done, the child will not be upset, there won't be fights or will be fewer fights? Based on your experience, what do you think would work for parents?
I think that parents should just choose their battles and think about what's worth fighting, I guess. Because I feel like me and my mom, as I was saying, we would fight a lot. And we both just started choosing our battles. And we're just saying, this isn't really worth it. I'm not going to put my energy into yelling at someone else because it's not worth it in the long run. And so that's basically it. I mean, just really listen to your child. What they're telling you, they need you to listen. And when you start listening, that's when the changes are going to be made.
Yeah, listen, deep listening, right? Listen with intention, not just listen. because sometimes you can pretend you're listening, yet push your own agenda on the kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about getting curious. That like magical when you listen to your children and hear past the behaviors and hear what they're really trying to tell you, but they're not developed enough to be able to tell you.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like the only way that children now can tell you how they're feeling is by lashing out or yelling. And I do that. I lash out, I yell, even though I know that there's other ways to communicate. I still do it. And I feel like a lot of people do this. And it's just hard, I guess, when I'm mad and when I'm angry. I don't know how to communicate, and I still am learning how to.
That's really huge that you just mentioned that. And I appreciate that you're being vulnerable there, because in the past, like Lainey, you would have been embarrassed discussing this. But I think that Lainey's realizing that everybody makes mistakes, and that no matter what, I've been telling her more and more, I know you're having a hard time. I know you're struggling. Just because you yelled at me and said horrible things,
Wow.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person. And I believe for the longest time, Lainey has had shame that she's like held within herself and not been able to say it because she's been so scared and feeling so horrible about herself for her behavior. I've been telling her, like, it's okay. I love you. No matter what you say to me, I'm always going to love you. I don't know. I'm not communicating this well enough right now, but I think Lainey's finally able to give herself compassion. We've been talking about that a lot. Like, you are not a bad person. You're having a hard time. You're growing. You're learning. I'm here with you. How can I help you? And it's getting through to her, but I'm learning it now as well.
Lainey, I have a question for you. Do you think if you were to learn about the brain, how the teenage brain works, do you think information like that would be helpful, or learn about the nervous system or how hormones affect your mood, your behavior, or, about emotions, about emotion regulation? Do you think that would be helpful?
Yeah, I definitely do think it would be more helpful to learn about, because we don't really talk about that kind of stuff in school. We don't have health class as of right now. I think it's going to start later on. But I think I would find it really interesting, and also it could help me, and it could help my friends if I showed them, probably. And I think it's like a really good thing to talk about, because it's hard to understand stuff without kind of seeing the whole picture.
Lainey, I am very impressed again by the depth of your self-awareness. And like your mom mentioned, your vulnerability, about saying that sometimes you lash out and you're reactive, but you're working on it. And you know that there is a better way of communicating, that you want to communicate more skillfully and regulate your feelings. So that's huge. I think we're all struggling with that struggle, right? But if we were to learn those skills early on in life, most adults wouldn't be dealing with those issues. And I wish schools taught more of this kind of stuff besides the reading, the writing, the science. One thing I want to ask you about is, I know that you have been diagnosed with ADHD during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
How has that been for you, learning about it, getting the diagnosis? Well, what's your experience, if you want to share?
Yeah, of course. So when I found out about it, I was so confused, because I knew we did this test thing, and I knew I was going to get diagnosed with anxiety, because I've just always been anxious, and I did get diagnosed with anxiety. But when my parents told me I also had ADHD, I'm like, what? That makes no sense to me. But then my mom sent me all these like news articles or these pictures of stuff that she found from Pinterest. And she would like send me these every day. To this day, she still sends me them. And I understood that it makes so much more sense now. And I know it's not my fault. And what I say and what I do, it doesn't define me. And when I'm upset, I can't control myself sometimes and I'll lash out. But my mom, when she sends me these quotes and all of these things about ADHD, it just makes so much more sense. And before I found out that I had it, I had no idea really what it meant. I just thought that if you had ADHD, that it was harder for you to understand some things, or that you're really hyper, that kind of thing. And my sister also got diagnosed. My mom got diagnosed. Does Dad have it?
He definitely has it, but he's undiagnosed and he doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're diagnosing him, but
yes.
how did this come about? The diagnosis part, what instigated for you to get tested?
Yeah. So my mom actually wanted me to get tested. I was so scared because I didn't want it to be real. When I had to sit with this person for around 2 hours, and she was asking me all these questions, and it was just so boring, and I had nothing to do. I was just sitting there looking at the clock the whole time, and I'm like, when is this over? But I mean, I'm kind of glad that she made me do it, because I told her I don't want to do this, and she said, it will clear things up. I promise you it will help. And I listened and I did it, and it worked out in the long run. So I'm glad I did it.
So it helps you understand yourself better. I'm hearing that's biggest part of it. And how about when your mom got diagnosed? What was it like to hear that?
Honestly, it's so fun to actually relate to someone about this, because in the car, we're both just talking and then we get distracted. She's like, oh, there's a squirrel. Like, what were you saying before?
Actually, I did that in the car today, but a squirrel was carrying a big water bottle.
And she's like, there's a flower. I'm like, whoa, have you never seen a flower? But it's just so funny to relate to that. We make fun of each other for it because we can both talk about it, and it's really nice. I like it. Yeah.
So it's connecting. It's a
yeah, exactly.
You're binding over it. So Julie, tell me about your experience.
Well,
I know I had some little role in this.
Yes, you did. You called it. You're like, Julie. Anyway, no, it all started during the pandemic when our younger one, who was 9 at the time, just could not sit still or concentrate or do any of her work at home. And at first I thought, oh, it's because it's on a computer at home. And, it just finally, it was no question. The younger one had the combination type, hyperactive and inattentive. And then because Lainey had anxiety and she was starting to have panic attacks when the pandemic hit, I was thinking, I should probably get Lainey tested for anxiety, because if she's at school having panic attacks, we need to be able to get her the help that she needs. I did not necessarily expect her to be diagnosed with ADHD. I did also, on another podcast you and I recorded, you asked me how she was doing with virtual school. And I said, oh, she's doing great. She's so focused. She's, getting her work done. She's so independent. But like within a month of airing, everything exploded with Lainey, where she needed help. She wasn't concentrating or paying attention. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm getting her tested. Turns out she has inattentive ADHD and anxiety. And when the doctor was reading her report, a very detailed report, I started crying, and the doctor was like, what's wrong? And I said, you are describing me 100%. So it all added up for me too. It's like, I put a pair of glasses on. I'm like, this just makes so much sense. Anything and everything from the emotional regulation. I always thought that I just had a problem. It was any and everything that I was always hard on myself about. Now that I've done my research on inattentive ADHD, it has to do with ADHD. So I feel better about myself knowing that these things are not my fault and that I am doing and trying my best. And some days are better than others. And yeah.
Yeah. And so you said, Lainey, choose your battles. I want to, as we approach to the end of this conversation, I really want you to offer some tips for parents in terms of talking to their kids, improving their communication, choosing the battles. What battles should they choose? And in terms of understanding their kids or emotion regulation, whatever comes to mind, if you were to summarize like top 5 tips from Lainey, take a moment to think about it. I know you're not prepared for this. We didn't prepare any of it, but.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes it can be really hard for the kid to go up to their parent and just start talking about everything. So, I mean, I felt lucky enough to be able to talk to my mom, but I know that some of my friends are struggling where they feel that they can't. So my advice is to, even if it might seem weird at first, it might be like, oh, this is so cheesy. Oh my God, why am I asking my kids if they're doing okay? But just talking to them, having a nice conversation about their day or just what was going on, if somebody was like bothering them or something, because then it will get them to open up if they feel that they need to tell you something. And it might take a while because maybe they don't have anything going on, but they will feel that if they do have something going on, that they'll talk to you about it because you got them to trust and to open up about that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's really important.
Yes. Making yourself available as a parent and checking in with your kid, even if nothing obvious or serious is happening, just being curious and checking in with your kid, learning about their day and building trust, right? That keeping that connection fire alive.
Yeah. And also showing like compassion and showing them that you might not be going through the same thing, but you can help them go through it and you can guide them and just talk to them about it. And that made me feel so much better when my parents do that. And I feel I'm not alone and that they understand. They might not be going through it, but they do understand.
How about in terms of feelings, regulating emotions and controlling reactivity? What would you say to parents in those moments? How should they treat their children?
So this one time, me and my mom, we were having this fight and she went into her room. She said, I need 5 minutes. I'll come back out. And I was just sitting in the living room for those 5 minutes, like panicking. I'm like, I'm going to be so mad when she comes out. She just left me. And she comes out and she's in this completely different mood. She's happy. She's like a smile on her face. And I looked at her and said, what are you doing? Like, what happened? And she said, do you want to cuddle? Like right now? And I was so mad at her. And her mindset just changed. And then I saw that she was in a better mood. So it made me in a better mood. And everything just ended up being so much better. And I think that parents, if you need a break, then go take a break. It helps so much. It can help you, it can help your children. And it's just so much better if you just like take a little break. You can listen to music, journal, anything. It just helps.
I need a break to Hawaii.
I'll come with you.
No, but what it took from your mom just to regulate herself and find calm within to come to offer it to you, it takes a lot of internal strength, especially if she wasn't raised that way, she wasn't taught this way, she's just learning now. I want you to know that it takes a lot of work, a lot of internal strength just to come out and say, do you want to cuddle? And it comes across genuine and natural. And it's not like forced. Do you want to cuddle? It's not like that. But she took a break. She really did what she needed to do to be able to offer that to you. And it worked. You were looking for it. And that's just amazing. I love that story, and it makes me tear up a little bit, The repairs, guys, repairs are always wonderful.
I was always so scared of the repairs. I was so hard on myself thinking, what's the point? Like what I did was so bad. I yelled at my kid and I made them feel so bad about themselves. I can say sorry, but I still did it. But the repair and giving myself compassion, and while teaching my daughters and my husband that everyone makes mistakes, and it is about how we repair. And now she's seeing about repairing, and she's actually starting to do it.
And that's actually kind of funny to me because I'm thinking the same exact thing. I'm like, I just yelled at my mom. Oh my gosh. And it's actually really funny to me that we're both thinking that. And I feel really bad. You feel really bad. And then I come out and I act like I don't care, but I really do.
Wait, you do?
Yeah.
Wow. Why is it so hard for someone? I get it. But why is it so hard for someone to admit it and own it and be like, I'm really sorry. I don't force apologies anymore, FYI. So sometimes I might.
Because you read the apology book, right?
And you also, yes, exactly. And you got through to me too. And
what have you learned from me? Let's end the podcast by saying, what do you think you've learned the biggest thing? When I say from me, either through communication or through the podcast, like I mean generally, what do you think was the biggest learning that has helped you to change the way you were, Julie?
That's hard to answer because there's not just one thing.
Yeah, I said the biggest. Like, what is the biggest thing that makes...
Okay, some of the biggest things that I learned from you is that all of these horrible thoughts and feelings I was having, that I'm not alone. And I love that you are a therapist and you're like, for a fact that my family is not the only family that fights and that, has issues. And so you've been telling me, I've been telling her, because she would tell me, none of my friends' families fight. And I would believe that. I believed that for the longest time. So one of the biggest things is you've taught me to challenge my thoughts and my thinking about problem solving, not being the victim. If there's a problem, like, okay, you can complain about it, but what are you going to do about it? Let's find a solution. Connection, the group therapy calls. As much as I might not always want to join, I'm always so thankful and grateful that I did join, and I always feel better after I get off the call. So the connection in the community, that it's important to reach out to other people and that I'm not alone. You've taught me so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not looking for compliments or anything, but just to hear, what do you think has improved? What have you worked on that improved your relationship with your daughter? And you answered already.
Wait, I have another big one. The other big one is working and figuring out my needs and learning how to take care of myself, because I never knew what self-care was. All I would do would be to take care of everybody else. And I never sat down and actually thought about, what do I need? Whether it's sleep or bless you, going out with my friends, going on a nature walk. You helped me brainstorm and get me to go on walks and start going out again when, we were hibernating during the pandemic. So.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, I'm glad you both came to the podcast. Lainey, thank you so much for being so brave and honest and vulnerable and sharing those amazing tips for the parents and for teenagers too. I have some great ideas how we can collaborate. I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but we should do something together. And with that, do you have any final thoughts, final things you want to say before we say goodbye?
You should only be comparing yourself to the person that you were yesterday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope, your expectations and the reality of being on a podcast merged and it was as good as you were hoping.
I've always wanted to be on a podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
So
you,
fun.
guys.
Thank you so much.